The one defining characteristic that I think we as artists all need to have to be successful is drive. And I think this is something that people often aren't thinking about, especially when you're on YouTube, you're watching all of these different videos about how to be a successful artist, how to sell art as an artist. There's lots of grandiose claims that you can do some really simple thing and then all of a sudden you're going to make like thousands of dollars. And in most cases, this is not going to happen. Reality just doesn't work that way. And ultimately, for most of us, it's just a lot of hard work. And drive is what keeps us going, right? It's what keeps the hustle going. I'm a full-time artist. I've been selling my art and supporting myself completely from it for the last 10 years. So I have a lot of experience in this realm, but also I would like to say that I'm self-taught and I have no courses or anything like that I took about running an art business. I've had to figure this all out through trial and error. And this is where drive comes in, is that if you are not driven, then you're not going to have what it takes, the tenacity, to be able to stick with it. Because the art business is a very difficult one. I mean, we all see other artists who are out there, like the starving artists who don't have any money. They're working other jobs to be able to support their passion of making art, but they're not selling their work. And this is very common because it's so hard in the art industry to make a living and get started, especially if you don't have a traditional education as an artist or a business person. And so that begs the question, what allows us to have drive or gives us more drive when it comes to life and anything that we are doing for making a living? And for me, I think this all starts with passion, right? You have to know what makes you really excited in life, what jazzes you up, what gets you up in the morning and you're just ready to go. And you just want to do it more than anything else. And for a lot of us, creative people, it's making art. But sometimes the business side of art doesn't come as easily, and a lot of artists are not passionate about going out and selling their work, about doing all of the day-to-day things that makes running a business possible. When thinking about what it takes to be a full-time artist, there are two main categories of things. Now, there are a lot of subcategories within this, but there are two main categories. And the first one is your skill as an artist to make your actual craft. For me, it's making in my animal portraits. You can see one of them back there. And the other part is running the art business. So basically, it's knowing how to run a small business and learning how to do this. So when it comes to thinking about drive, you need to have drive to make the art, and then you also need to have drive to manage a business and sell the art. Also, I want to live a really happy life. And I know that doing something for a living that I'm passionate about is the key to having a happy life. Because we all want that, right? I know you do. We all do. And I think that's really the ultimate goal of life, is to live a happy and fulfilled life where we are contributing something really positive to society. And the arts are such a beautiful way to do that. But if you're not passionate about the selling art side of being a full-time artist and you're only passionate about the making art, then I'd suggest to start thinking about if you really want to be a full-time artist, because both of these things go hand in hand. And if you're not going to have the passion about selling your work and doing all of the business things that are involved in that, then perhaps you should consider becoming an art teacher or doing something else to make a living as an artist. Being a full-time artist is a whole lot of work, but it's also super rewarding. I love it whenever I make a custom pet portrait for someone and then they receive it and either they're just smiling so big or maybe even they're crying because they remember this pet that they lost. It's such an emotional experience. And for me, every time I see one of my customers that connected with something I make, it reaffirms why I do all of this, because I love to celebrate the animals that we all love. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to do and to be able to add to the world. And so as I see it, I mean, there's definitely negatives to being a full-time artist. There's a whole lot of them. It is a hard road to walk down with a lot of work, a lot of practice to be able to develop your skill, and a lot more practice to be able to figure out how to juggle everything in an art business as a solopreneur, as we're called, a one-person show. Most of us don't have art assistants or people helping us, at least at first, because it takes a lot of time to build up enough money and income as an artist to be able to hire people to help you do things in your business. And so yeah, it takes a lot of work and there are definitely downsides, but there are so many upsides. And I think drive is at the basis of all of it. If you don't have drive and if you don't have passion to give you that drive, then you probably won't succeed. So then thinking about passion, how do we ignite passion within ourselves, especially if there are things that we're doing in our business or as an artist that we're not all that passionate about. For example, for me, one of the things that I'm least passionate about is doing my taxes. And every year I have to do this because I don't hire an accountant. I do it all myself. I taught myself how to do the bookkeeping for my business myself many years ago because I can't afford to pay accountants to do this for me. And most small businesses can't afford them either. And so it's pretty common to learn how to do these things yourself. But yeah, it's not very fun. It's really probably my least favorite thing to do with my business. But whenever I look up the big picture, I realize that it's a necessity. If I want to keep selling my work and I don't want to get audited, I don't want to get in trouble for not paying my taxes, then I have to do this. It's a necessary evil. It's sort of like you have to learn to embrace the suck. And so I think that if you can keep it in mind that there's a bigger picture, that can help ignite your passion. Like I know when I get in to start actually doing all the bookkeeping necessary to do my taxes, I start getting into it and I know, okay, I'm almost done. And when I'm close to the end, it just ignites me and I actually have drive to do it because I want it over with, because I hate doing it so much. So in this way, if you set small goals for yourself in a task, like for me with my taxes, it's getting them done, right? But there are a lot of little steps to the process. Like I have to have my expense reports and my income reports. And so I just do one at a time. And I know I might have 10 things on the list, like going through all my receipts or whatever it is. But I have 10 things on the list. But when I check one off, I feel a sense of accomplishment. And so for me, that helps to ignite my passion and my drive because I know that I'm almost over with it. And then I can move on to things that I really, really love about my business. And when I look at the entire picture of my art business, there are so many more things that I love doing with it than the things that I hate. I mean, it's like 90% things that I'm super excited about doing every day and only 10% that I'm not. And so I think that if you can have something like that in your life where it's 90% things you're passionate about, 10% stuff you don't really like, and you're just kind of embracing the suck, then that's a pretty good life balance. So looking at the big picture and the rewards you're getting for doing the things you don't like so much in your business is a way to ignite your passion and get driven about finishing those tasks. So to start to wrap this all up, I wanted to have a really frank discussion today about running the art business and the realities of that. Because I think a lot of people have stars in their eyes when they first start thinking about being an artist and how living a creative life is just so great. And it is in a lot of ways, but it's also a lot of hard work. Art fairs especially, I mean, these things happen in the rain, they happen with high winds, you're out there in the elements, in the sun, like super hot days, really cold sometimes, I mean, all sorts of different weather, and it's not pleasant. And so if you don't have drive and passion about what you're doing, you're probably not going to stick with it. And I think that's why I see a lot of people not doing art fairs and not sticking with that way of making a living as an artist, because yeah, it's probably the hardest road to go down, the hardest work of all the different revenue streams that a person can have as an artist. And speaking of revenue streams, I made an entire video going over 30 plus ways to make money as an artist. So if you are trying to figure out how to be a full-time artist and you're passionate about selling your work, then watch that here. All right, thank you so much for watching. See you next time.